It don't go down.
Robert, it goes down.
No, it don't.
It do go down.
Oh! Don't!
What is up, everybody? We're here with the pre-draft roster overview for my favorite team, the Indiana Pacers. You know, pretty sorry franchise, but hopefully it'll turn around this year with a good pick and cap space. Hopefully we can do something with it and actually be good for once. Alright, so I'm gonna just go through every player and give my opinion on them, on what they can contribute next year, if they're gonna be here next year, and all that. So starting off, we have Tyrese Halliburton, the superstar of the team. You know, he's a centerpiece on this team. You have to build around him if you're Kevin Pritchard. Fit pieces around him, and I feel like he'll work well with anyone and give you like 20 and 10 on any night. And that's what we're hoping for this year with the improvement. Last year he averaged like 16 and 8 or something like that. Hopefully he can improve to like 20, become an all-star, which we all know that he can do. But I I see a lot of young Chris Paul in him too. But anyways, these are the ratings right here. Uh, at the top right is their overall rating. I'll give Tyrese Halliburton an 81. I feel like it's only going up, so next year might be at like a 85, 87, somewhere around there. But his offensive grade, I have an 85. He can pass the ball, shoot it, everything well on offense. He can do everything on offense. I would like to see like a little more finishing improvement. He doesn't get to the rim that well, but he is little. He's like fucking my weight. He's like 90 pounds. So, but anyways, his defense definitely needs improvement. He can get steals, get in passing lanes, but that's about it. I mean, I could blow by him. That's how bad he's on defense. But I feel like he'll improve. 75 there just because the steals. It would be a lot lower if it weren't. But yeah, so moving on to Malcolm Brogdon. Uh, he is a potential trade piece being on the trade block for with our pick to maybe move up, but we'll talk about that later. Malcolm Brogdon, if he does stay, I feel like he could fit next to Tyrese. Might be a little, you know, ball dominant for Tyrese, but if he can get back to his Milwaukee days where he was 50, 40, 90, 16 points per game, I feel like he could work with Tyrese. For his grade, I give him an 80, just a solid shooting guard, I feel like. He can do a little bit of everything on offense, not anything particularly well. On defense, same thing, he's strong, I know that. He can lock you up a little bit, but he ain't no lockdown defender, but he also isn't no scrub on the defensive end. Uh, yeah, I feel like Brogdon could average 16 if he stays on this team, and hopefully fit well next to Tyrese Halliburton, because that's what this team has to do, is to fit well next to him. Next up, we got the 25-year-old rookie as of today, Chris Duarte. Chris Duarte definitely needs to. I need to see that second year improvement, being his age is fucking 25. He's older than like Devin Booker or something like that. So I definitely need to see improvement from this 12 points per game. I'm hoping to see like 18 points per game next year on, decent efficiency. I gave him a 77 grade. As of now, I feel like that could go up to like 80, 81 next year if he puts up like 18 points per game, which I hope he does. His offensive grade, 78. I feel like his game is tough and smooth. I really like his mid-range game and his three-point shooting, but it's not elite yet, so that's why it's at 78. His defense definitely needs a bit of improvement. Just like Tyrese, he gets those steals. But he gets blown by a lot. Same with Tyrese. They both get blown by, which is why Miles Turner will be important on this team. But moving on, we got injury bubble Warren. Uh, you know Hasn't played in fucking 2 years, so it's really tough to grade him. I'm gonna just give him a 79 as of now. You know, he hasn't played in 2 years. If it was like 2019 in the bubble and all that, he'd be like an 82 maybe. But you know, I don't know how he's gonna be coming back from this injury. So I give him a 79 for now. But I feel like TJ Warren could be really underrated and average like 20, 23, 24 next year if he comes back well. And I feel like, you know, he could be an underrated piece on his team to be like the second best player. Uh, but anyways, his overall, I give him a 79. You know, it would be higher, but he's injured, of course. Also, TJ Warren is a free agent, and I don't know I want to bring him back. Uh, I will give him a 1 year, whatever he wants. 1 year, whatever he wants. I will give him like 20 mil, maybe 1 year, 20 mil, and maybe a team option or something like that, because we don't know what he's gonna be. But if he does come back, I mean, that would be a great deal. 1 year, 20 mil plus a team option. Uh, I give him an 82 offense. You know, TJ Warren, that's pretty much all he does is score. That's all he's gonna give you. But 82 is respectable. I mean, it's the second best on the team besides Tyrese. So he's just a bucket. He, you know, gets his buckets in the mid range and everything. Defense, you know, definitely has improved. Uh, I wanted to bring it higher, but I don't know how his defense is going to be off the foot injury. You know, it might be a little slow off his step and all that. But I'm giving him a 70. It's respectable, 75 overall. It's not good. It's not bad. All right, moving on to Miles Turner. Uh, I gave him an 80. You know, 80 off the bat, just overall 80. You know, he definitely needs to stay healthy in order for this team to succeed because, I mean, we don't have defenders like that at all. All we got is Miles Turner and maybe TJ McConnell off the bench. But he definitely needs to be an anchor on defense because we know these guys are getting fucking blown by anyone. So Miles Turner definitely needs to be there, which he has been. But, you know, he just has to stay healthy, which is a problem. Uh, he definitely needs to prove himself on offense. You know, he said he wants a bigger role. So he's definitely going to have to prove himself in the post. You know, with Sabonis gone, he has it free. He's free. So hopefully Rick Carlisle, you know, puts him in the situation where he can score a little bit more. I'm expecting like 16 points per game, maybe 16 and 9 with like 2.5 blocks. That would be my Miles Turner like projection for next year. So his offense definitely 73 as of right now. I feel like it can improve. Uh, all he can do basically is shoot as of now, but hopefully he gets in that post a little bit more and proves me wrong. Uh, on that defense, he's definitely elite. You know, should have been all defense at least one time. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous at this point, but he does have to stay healthy. But on defense, you know what he does. You know, block shots, alter shots at the rim, and he's also solid on the perimeter. You know, nothing special, but definitely not someone you just blow by. Um, so that would be the starting five. You know, a pretty solid starting five, but it definitely needs improvement. It definitely needs like something. It needs something. It needs Chris Duarte to get better. It needs Tyrese to get better. It needs everyone to be healthy for it to succeed. I feel like the starting five can definitely get us at most a fifth seed in the East. At most. Which is not what you want, but you know, hopefully they'll change something at least. Alright, now looking at the depth chart, first off we have Rick Carlisle as one of the better coaches in the league, I feel like. I mean, you know, his plays are alright, but it's really just his championship, you know, mentality and his leadership on that end, like coaching. But I don't know. Rick Carlisle's like he's cool. He's an 89, you know. All right, moving on to the players. You know, TJ McConnell. He's definitely a solid backup point guard. You know, a leader off the bench. He'll give you like six points, like 6 steals, fucking 6 assists, and 6 rebounds off the bench. You know, that's TJ McConnell. That's what he does. again, he needs to stay healthy. He was injured all last year, so definitely need to see him healthy. And I wouldn't mind him getting traded, to be honest with you, for something better. But anyways, Ricky Rubio, free agent, hasn't played a single second for the Pacers, and I expect it to stay that way. So I can just move on his separate ways. But if we were to bring him back, I wouldn't like it because I feel like he's gonna be asking for too much, and just for him to be the third point guard, like I'm good. He can leave. Moving on, shooting guard. We have Dwayne Washington. I really love Dwayne Washington. He just really needs to improve his defense for him to get a higher rating. He's a 70. Uh, I feel like he can really improve and be the certified, backup two guard on this team. He can shoot the ball well. He can score well. He can pass okay, I guess. But he really just needs to improve on that defense, and I feel like he's got a spot on the team and in the rotation. Uh, Next up, Buddy Hield, 79. I feel like he's one of the better shooters in the league, but I wouldn't mind him getting traded. I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like this doesn't fit the timeline of this team. He's good, don't get me wrong. 79. He'll be like one of the better six mans if he does stay. And how I'm projecting him in this role, he'll be a six man. But he also could start, in place of Chris Duarte. But I want to get the young guys in there, even though Chris Duarte is fucking 50. Moving on to Lance Stevenson, definitely a Hall of Famer and should stay on this team for a 5-year deal. Please. He's kind of like ass, but it's Lance Stevenson, so he's gonna stay on the team. Hopefully, if he doesn't, I'm not watching the Pacers anymore. Moving on, we got O'Shea Brissett. Definitely one of my favorite players on this team, coming in at a 73. He definitely improved a little bit. Last year he was great. In those few games, but this year, his numbers were looking about the same. I feel like O'Shea Brissett, if he gets the right, development, he could be like a Miles Bridges type player or a Kelly Oubre type player. Just a guy that gives you energy off the bench and can shoot, can dunk, and play a little bit of defense. Hopefully, he'll improve on that end this year in his defense and his shooting. Definitely needs to get better. But I like him. I like his place on the team. I hope he's here next year. Moving on to Jalen Smith, he's also a free agent. I wouldn't mind him back. It depends on what he's asking, but Jalen Smith's solid. He can stretch forward. Defense is all right, but if he's asking for too much, I would just let him go. To be honest with you, with our pick coming in, he might not have a spot. Moving on to Goga Bitadadze, the Goatka, definitely ass, and definitely need to trade him for anything at this point, bro. I'd take a sack of potato chips for Goga Bitadze. Just get off this team, please. You're bad. All right, enough on that. Isaiah Jackson, definitely one of my favorite players again. Coming in at 72, he's really solid for a rookie. Blocking shots, being a force on defense. Definitely needs to get his weight up. His skinny frame. Gets pushed around a lot, gets fouled a lot, or not gets fouled, but he takes a lot of fouls. But I feel like he can be better than Miles Turner, in my opinion. He has that potential. He just needs to buff it up a little bit and learn the NBA defenses and learn not to foul and learn timing and get a jump shot a little bit. Now to the most valuable part, our 6th overall pick. I've looked at guys like Jaden Ivey and Keegan Murray. I like both of those. If we were to snag, well, actually, I would like Jaden Ivey the most, but Keegan Murray's alright. I also like Benedict Mathurin. I feel like he'll be a good fit on this team. As a scoring two guard. But also we could move up, which is hopefully what we'll do. Move up with like the 6th pick and like Malcolm Brogdon to the Kings for that 4th pick. I think they have. and we could snag, Jaden Ivey, which I would really fucking love. Bring him home. There's all sorts of things we can do. We can move down, even snag Dyson Daniels or someone like that, a good defender. But the six over pick is definitely uh, it's definitely gonna highlight what we do this offseason. I feel like it's gonna be the main part and our centerpiece around Tyrese Halliburton and our sixth pick or whatever pick we have. I feel like them two be our future. So hopefully, the draft goes well. It's in 2 weeks now. Hopefully, we do something good and get Jay and Ivy, please. All right. This has been my overview. Hopefully, uh, it was good, and maybe I'll do another one when the season starts and I can just overview all the players. I might do this for other teams too. I watch other teams, so I could do that for that. But thank you for watching.